All right, so yes, as I talked about at the beginning of this show, we are taking suggestions from Patreon to fill the content of the show because, like, as you saw, there's a few topics here and there, but nothing too big, no big reviews. So we are oh god, I'm looking at the post right now. We are reviewing Darkman 1990. Shout out to Jeff who picked this movie. Like I said, right now at any tier on Patreon, you can select one movie for us to do for the time being. And hey, if this goes on for a while, you guys might be selecting 2 movies. So we're gonna have lots of fun. We'll probably announce next week's movie at some point. It all basically depends on movies and whatnot. But so this is a movie directed by Sam Raimi, who's directed Evil Dead series. He directed the Tobey Maguire series. He directed Oz the Great and Powerful. Yeah, Spider-Man Tobey Maguire series. He directed that. Came out in 1990. It stars Liam Neeson and Frances McDormand. A brilliant scientist, Left 4 Dead, returns to exact revenge on the people who burned him alive. So, I don't know where to start. So, Kirklin, starts off, did you know anything about Darkman? What was your first impressions getting into it? And then what was, not your final thoughts, but after you had sat down with the movie? Because you've been watching a lot of older movies lately. The past month you had to watch Howard the Duck. You had to watch Catwoman, which don't spoil how you feel about that because the Patreon episode is not out yet. But so give us your mini experience here with Darkman.
Yeah, so I had never heard of it before. When I saw the movie poster, I thought it was like a comic book movie or something. I don't know. It just seems very like Watchmen type, like feels just with that type of character. Like the name sounds like a vigilante superhero or something. So yeah, I had no idea it was Liam Neeson in it. I had no idea Sam Raimi was the director. Did he write it as well? I think it said story by him.
It was him and 4 other writers as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So he definitely wrote it. That's one of my trivia note. There were 12 drafts of this script. So,
oh, man.
So there was quite a bit of tinkering going on with this film.
Yeah, so I started watching it this morning, and I got about like 2.5 minutes in, and then I had to turn it off because I was like, I gotta watch this with someone. This is too good to like watch alone. I gotta experience this with someone else. So I turned it off, went and grabbed my dad, and we watched it together. And man, it was an enjoyable time. Honestly, there were so many moments that I was just laughing like out loud. It was like borderline like joke type movie. I don't know what I would compare it to, but yeah, I'm trying to think of an example, but I can't think of anything because there's definitely like serious moments, but there's times that it's just so over the top cheesy that I don't know if it's intentional. I don't know if it's just from like the 1990s. It's just there's some really like funny editing that goes on, as well as just some like, I don't know, like weird place one-liners in like a near like serious situation. But I don't know. It's just it's a fun time overall. I would definitely watch it again. Definitely not alone though. I'd sit down with some friends that had never seen it before and we'd watch it. It's definitely more enjoyable than the last few movies we've watched on Patreon, like Howard the Duck and or Catwoman. I won't spoil my feelings on those two, but I definitely enjoyed it more than those ones.
Taylor, how did you feel about this? Because I said to you, thanks, this is a mini spoiler for Mortal Kombat. You said after you watched it, like, man, where has this movie been my whole life? I did tell you that I thought you were going to love this movie. I thought this was a Taylor Field movie. So was I right in this assumption?
Well, I don't know if it's like, God, I don't know. Like, it's definitely a Taylor Field movie, but I mean, at the same time, is it like my new favorite movie of all time? No.
What?
But it's like I kept writing notes down, and I'm glad. Like I've been doing like a Harry Potter marathon with Madison, and I was like, okay, we're taking a break. We're gonna watch Darkman. So I booted it up, and we got it playing. I'm like, well, you know, like. I'm like again, like I'm really into 90s movies. Like again, like this just has that 90s aesthetic and the vibe and everything. I love being taken back to that time, and I was definitely taken back to it in this. And so when it was playing, it's like that first scene. It it happens, and like I'll get more in detail with these as I go through my notes, but like that leg scene happened, and I'm glad again, like you, Kirkland, I wasn't watching this alone because it would have been so much less enjoyable.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But just that leg scene happened, and then I thought, okay, like, is this actually for real? This is wild. But the scene, like, that wasn't the scene that really got me in, because I was kind of in shock from it. The scene that blew my mind was the randomness of these, like, actually these multiple vehicles bursting out of these wooden crates with guns blazing. And I was like, where did these guys come from?
Oh yeah, no, yeah. That was the moment that I turned it off. I went and grabbed my dad to watch it with me. Was when he like took the guy's leg off and used it as a gun. I lost it, and like I swear that's like 2 minutes into the movie.
Oh yeah, this movie starts.
They never call back to that.
No, it starts at like.
It's just
it
like
floors
it's just
the
dead.
gas and it never breathes. Like even in the slow moments, like Liam Neeson is losing his fucking mind in this movie all the time. Like it's the most acting you've ever seen in a movie. He is going ham.
Yeah,
I think this is the movie George Lucas saw and thought, you know, I'm gonna get him to be my
Qui-Gon?
Qui-Gon
I
Jinn.
don't think so.
Yeah.
Liam Neeson, yeah, like he was definitely, you know, he was acting his heart out. But I almost think that like he could have been replaced with Nick Cage. I think Nick Cage would have been a good
100%.
Darkman. Yeah.
100%.
Those your first initial thoughts, Taylor?
I kept imagining this as Nick Cage. Like I had to keep telling myself, like, no, this is actually Liam Neeson, which again is like on point of being like one of my top like favorite actors too, because he's just in everything. But like this is just like next level, and like some of the like scenes of him when it would like again, and this is another thing from my notes, like when he's at the carnival with this girl and like he gets like angry. He's like, you know, you're a circus freak or whatever.
Oh
or
my
some
God,
freak,
I
and like
lost
he
it.
loses it, and like the transition to like the close-ups between him and the carny and back and forth is just so brutal. And like just like the explosions happening behind him, it's like, what is going on right now?
Oh yeah, I love that when it shows Liam Neeson and then it shows the other guy, or I think it shows the other guy and then it shows Liam Neeson and then it shows like the girl with him and she's like screaming as well. Oh my god, I was like crying laughing. Like it was top notch.
You want this?
I think I wrote down the actual line too, because he's like,
You want this fucking elephant? You want the fucking elephant?
yeah, because he's like, no, what did I write? No callback to. Oh yeah, they didn't call. Oh, no. Yeah, I want a pink elephant for my girlfriend. He says. He gets it. He's like, take the elephant. Take the fucking elephant.
And then when he realizes what's going on, he's like, I'm sorry. And he takes the elephant from her and he's just running through the city with the elephant covering his face. I did appreciate that, like, when he was, like, because he's normal Liam Neeson, he's Peyton, and then he goes through, he becomes Darkman, but then when he can be, like, normal Peyton again, he's still, like, really off. He's, like always hunched over, and he's always, like he's on a different level, so I appreciated that he always never seemed completely right when he got his face back, but that scene was and then even then they're like intersplicing when he's getting mad at the carnival fly, they're just intersplicing like flashbacks of him getting burnt and beat up, and it's like it's not this carnival guy's fault, but they do mention that his rage, for some reason I think they said some weird percentage, like his rage went up 87%. I don't know why they chose 87%, but this movie is just like riddled with dumb stuff like that, but it's just like it's so good. But Taylor, anything else initially?
No, I won't go too far into my notes yet. Just like it's just the movie just had so many surprises, things that I just one up the last moment, and just it kept getting crazier and crazier. And the fact that this is actually like a trilogy blows my mind. And like the title, which I'll get into that later, of the second one, just left me my jaw dropped.
Return of Durant.
Yeah, like what the hell?
Yeah, he's like a crap villain, and he's not even the main villain of this story, but he's returning in the sequel. But much like Mortal Kombat, I'll thank Jeff because we're going to do these, but Taylor did mention, who knows, we'll have to figure out, but he did mention these are some we should do a watch-along commentary track because they're so crazy, because I've never seen the second and third because those are straight to DVD. Sam Raimi didn't come back, or I guess straight to VHS back then. Sam Raimi didn't come back, nor did Liam Neeson, so I've never seen him. But the guy who plays Durant did come back, so that's probably why the movie was called that. He's like, I'm not coming back unless you call it The Return of Durant. So, so my experience with Darkman is the only reason I'd watch it because I'm a Sam Raimi fan. I love the Evil Dead movies. I love Spider-Man. Check out in May, the Spider-Man commentary track will be dropping on Patreon at the $5 tier. So I love pretty much everything he does. Even Oz Great the Powerful, I'm a big fan of that. And they've never confirmed it, but I'm really hoping he is directing Doctor Strange too, because I just think that would be such a fun style. And I think, like Kirklin talked about, there's definitely, I think, moments that are really cheesy and over the top. There's some that I think they're going for 100%. Like if you watch it there, even Spider-Man, there's some cheesiness where I think on purpose Raimi does, but there's definitely some that went even over that line. That was like, whoa. But that's the only reason I watched this movie. I remember a long time ago, I like recorded on TV. It was on like AMC or something like that. It's like, oh, I'm gonna watch this. And it was just a wild movie. It's not what I was expecting, because the posters, like Kirklin said, like when I looked into it, it looks like a dark, depressing movie. It looks like it's gonna be something really serious and really gritty, and it is that at sometimes. But then, like Kirklin says, there's one-liners or just Liam Neeson, and like he's yelling at a cat at some points. He's just telling the cat to like fuck off, and it's just, well, you think I'm some circus freak? Look at me with my circus hat. Oh, am I a circus freak now? It's crazy. Like it's this moment where he's really depressed. They took my hands. Like, what's your problem, cat? And it's just,
I know.
And I love it because this is before Schindler's List, and this is before Frances McDormand did Fargo. So this is like right before they broke and became big stars. So it's like, and I have it in my notes, this is Liam Neeson's first starring role in an action movie. So they're really going for it, and I think they did tell him to like cheese it up, but there is levels amount of cheese that even surpass like a Nick Cage or a Willem Dafoe in Lighthouse. Sometimes it's crazy. Like I've never seen Liam Neeson done a performance like this again. I think this was my second time watching it the whole way through. And yeah, like I enjoy it. Same thing. I watched it with Emily, and she would tune in and out. But anytime she would look up from her phone and look up what she's doing, she would like just start chuckling and shake her head, like, "What the fuck is this movie?" Because it is just one wild ride after another. There's semi of a narrative, like this guy trying to get revenge, but it doesn't even matter because you're just on. It's just an amusement park ride. You're there for the fun, and I had a good time. This is a movie I would watch again. Like I said, I've never seen the sequel, so I don't know if those are similar in the way that they're kind of really cheesy or over the top. I don't know, but this is a movie I would watch again in the future just because I forgot honestly how wild it was. I'd seen this maybe 5 years ago, but even then I must have blocked like the amount of it feels like Taylor, it feels like Mom and Dad's or whatever, that Nick Cage one too. Like when Nick Cage starts to get sick, that acting, but it's Liam Neeson, so it's weird. It's like you're squinting, and it's like, is that actually Liam Neeson? And it's like they tricked him into the role, but it's before he was a massive star, right? So it's crazy.
Yeah, he seems pretty young in it.
Oh yeah, and I want to say, like, usually you save trivia for the end, but I just wanted to set up one of the reasons why this movie happened was where was it? Unable to secure the rights to The Shadow, which is like another superhero kind of off-brand comic book, or Batman. Raimi decided to create his own superhero and struck a deal with Universal Studios and made this his first Hollywood studio film. He had it in the vein of like, and you can see like he wanted to make a monster movie, sort of like that, sort of a tragic movie. And yeah, he tried again to make a Shadow film, but it didn't happen. So then the producer of the original Batman came in, and they made this movie. And yeah, so it's kind of he couldn't make Batman or the Shadow, so I'm going to make my own superhero movie, and I'm going to make it kind of monster, very traumatic. And he definitely did that. But yeah, so that was the inspiration from this. And they did do some Marvel like comics and stuff like that after. Nothing that really picked up, but this movie has a massive cult following as well. So. Where do we want to start with this guy? Dylan has a glitchy internet, so he's gonna drop up for right now. But I guess we could start at the beginning, right? Of just he's a normal guy. We meet him. He's like a scientist that's working, I guess, to fix people's like limbs or defects and stuff like that.
I guess like burnt victims or something like that, right? It was so funny when he's like first in the lab and he's like, I don't know, doing the trials, and he's got like his lab assistant there. I don't think his lab assistant says like anything for like the first like 2 minutes he's in the scene, and I'm just like thinking to myself, like, this guy is literally just like making bank for doing absolutely nothing. Like Liam Neeson is just running the show.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I honestly don't think he said like a single word for like the first like few minutes he's even in the scene.
No, but
I might be wrong.
Liam was really attached to him because when he dies, Liam's reaction. Oh my, no.
He like thinks about him like as well. Like I think it's when they're like at the, I think it's like a ball or something, like some sort of fundraiser, and then he's like outside, like in the rain. He sees the one guy that like I think he shot his lab assistants. I don't know. It wasn't too clear what happened to him.
Oh, what the guy?
And then,
the guy that they killed?
Yeah, he's getting flashbacks when he sees the guy that shot him.
Yeah.
Right, because he's like, oh, give him some air. Oh, I'll give him some air, and he like has his gun.
Yeah, no, they did. They shot him, but they did in a way where this movie is rated R, but they did in a way to like hide it that it was rated R, because a gun goes off, and then for some reason they just show like a smoking barrel or something like that. But it seems like it's a completely different shot. But they must have been close, I guess, because yeah, he remembered him a few times.
No, absolutely, he's getting like just flashbacks. Hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
That whole like lab scene when they're like basically killing his assistant and just like torturing him, like that is so like gruesome.
It really is. And, like,
that
the
fun.
whole, and we'll get into the leg gun too. Like, but just that scene of Liam Neeson, it went on for quite a while, and I wonder what else happened because Sam Raimi had to cut some stuff out of this movie. So, yeah, it was it was brutal. It was, they threw him.
It was brutal.
They like drown him, they strangle him, all these things, and yeah,
they're like burning his hands. They're like burn like off. That he is like down to the bone, his hands, and then afterwards they start like just like drowning him in like battery acid or whatever the hell that tank was in there. Like it's just so gruesome.
yeah, and you're seeing his face like burn mid in the water and everything like that. Yeah, they really did a number on him.
Oh yeah.
Taylor, what were your thoughts about the opening? What did you feel about Payton? We meet him, he's a nice scientist. The other thing I'll go say before Taylor goes is the sex scene, the very first scene was very strange because so we get there, he's a scientist, blah, 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 and then like we said at the beginning of the movie, we see there's crime going on, so they're going to obviously meet up, and then we go to his apartment, and he's like, his girlfriend's working on paper, and they're watching a movie, but it's very quick. It jumps. There were maybe with them like 10, 15 seconds, and then she's like, "I got a surprise for you," and she takes off her shirt and she says, "Ta-da!" And then and then we see their shadows on the projector, and they're just like, "Oh yeah, this is a great surprise." Like the sex scene was really cheesy. Like
it very much reminded me of The Room, honestly.
100%.
With like how quick and like just abrupt like the sex scene happens.
And
it's like, oh, I wonder what's gonna happen. Oh, okay, they actually just had sex.
We don't
and
even.
then it's like afterwards.
Yeah, we don't even get time to like meet her or know the relationship. They're just getting right into it. And just the whole ta-da. It was super, super strange. And yeah, I don't have much to add on the beginning crime opening. But yeah, it was just, I knew the leg gun was coming. But when you see it, especially too when they go to the guy and he's still just hopping around while all those gunfires going on. But
yeah, I forgot to mention too, like when they come out and they're basically going to just like check the people for guns. So first of all, like there's a couple guys with like guns and like a knife or a baseball bat or something. One guy just got nunchucks. And then when they're like, when they're like when they're like checking them for weapons, they pulls nunchucks off another guy. So I'm like, holy shit! Is that like a go-to weapon? And like that was the first moment where I was like, okay, this movie is something else. And then when they go in, I forget the main guy. It's like Mr. Black or something. He does like the pun on like breaking it off with his ex-wife or whatever that had like the wooden leg, and everyone just laughs. And I'm like, okay, this is just a cheesy movie. Like this, like they're going for that cheesy humor clearly. Mm-hmm. It's just so ridiculous.
Taylor, any thoughts on the opening of the? We talked about the kind of battle there. We talked about Peyton and his introducing girl. We also mentioned that he proposed in a weird way. He proposed, and she kind of
chases her down the street.
And like the response, can you give me an answer, please? I want you to marry me. Like it feels like it's the first time Liam Neeson is working on his American accent. Like I'm sure it's not, but that's what it feels like. And then I just love that her response is like, I gotta think about it. And it's not even emotional. It's just like, I gotta think about it, just like anything else. Like, do you want to get a dog or something like that? No, it's like, you want to marry me? Yeah, maybe. We'll see. And then obviously she decides to marry him, but that's when the explosion happens. So Taylor, what do you think about their introduction to some of these characters and the themes and the plot we would embark on this movie?
I just, like Kirklin said it, like that line that was just dropped at the beginning, like I was married to a girl with a wooden leg once, I had to break it off. I thought, wow, they just really went there indeed. So, and then just that definitely set the tone for me. And, like Liam Neeson's character overall, like, this beginning part, it was definitely like a little awkward, but I was like, it's like young Liam Neeson. I can get behind this.
A little awkward.
It just got like, yeah, it's just got a little awkward, a little crazy and janky, but yeah, just when he was doing his experiment stuff, and then the power went off, and then those guys like showed up there, and just when he was crawling and he was all injured and he was trying to get to the ticking bird, and the bird ticks and then the explosion
That's
happens.
his origin story.
Not in a million years did I expect to see the explosion and then Liam Neeson's body flying out of the building up into the sky right at the screen. It was freaking hilarious.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, I put the
And like just how that segues too into like the him being rescued, like this random nurse saying like, yeah, you know, we just like, oh, it happens like 3 times a week, we find like a no name like him or whatever, and he's like, yeah, but we cut one of his nerves so he can't feel a thing, and just stabs him with this like stake or whatever. Like this poor Liam Neeson. Jesus.
Yeah, I had that in my notes, the flying body, because it's like the scene to me is still cheesy when they're beating him up, but it still feels like they're trying to be a little dramatic. And the fact that she walks out there, she's like, maybe I will marry him, or whatever her line is. She's decided she's gonna marry him. There's an explosion. It's all dramatic. She's crying, and then like you said, all we see is oh, and he's flying through the air like Buzz Lightyear, and he falls in the water. And then we get this terrible transition of we have her. She's standing, and there's a green screen behind her of like the background, and they do that transition where they fade. She has a scarf, and then all of a sudden the green screen turns to a gravesite. Oh my goodness, that was some of the worst. And I will say this is a movie that had a low budget, so I understand. But and it's definitely dated. It's a 90s movie. It's the first year. It was 1990. But the effects are. The CGI is awful. Like it's god awful. It's good because the movie is kind of having fun with trying to almost be bad. So you're kind of like, oh, this kind of works with it. Like Kirklin said, like The Room. But oh man, it is awful. And that scene right there where they for no reason, why did it? Because the thing is, I thought, okay, for some reason they couldn't afford to get on a graveyard, so they're gonna have her on the street. Yeah, they're gonna show the graveyard, but it's just gonna be from her front, and then they're gonna cut to a new scene. No, when they show her there, and then they cut to the next scene, and they're at a graveyard. So I wonder if like that was it, either maybe they lost some footage, or they just really thought this is a fun idea. Let's do just a full-on transition of her standing there being sad, and then they add the scarf. It was so over the top, and it was just like I gasped when I saw it because I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
No, I 100% had the exact same thought because I'm like, oh man, they have like just low budget, so they're just gonna use a green screen for the the graveyard, and then literally like it just like pans to like 2 other dudes, like looking at her. They're at a graveyard, so like I don't know why they had to do that shot. Maybe just for like the fun transition that was terrible on its own. But then it goes to like the grave keeper, whatever you'd call him, and then they're just like joking around about like, oh, you're done already. It's like, oh, I just had to just like bury an ear. That's all it was. That didn't take too long. And like she's right over there just grieving. For some reason, she's the only person at this guy's funeral.
Yeah, no one liked
did
him.
He just not have no family, no friends? I guess his one friend was dead, so it didn't matter.
He had nobody, yeah.
Yeah, and then just on like the topic of bad like green screens or whatever, the other one that was just so, I mean, there were a few that was terrible, but the other one that was probably worse than the graveyard was when he's like swinging underneath the helicopter. Oh my god, it was like fuzzy. You almost like couldn't even see him.
Okay, like that scene where he was under the helicopter, like I definitely agree. There was like half and half, like scenes where it was super fuzzy and bad, but then the other scenes where it was really someone hanging there. I kid you not, for the entire sequence, I got it in my notes here. So the helicopter, Durant's like shake him off or whatever, and the helicopter's like swinging him about. Neeson is just on the cable, and he's just, all you see is these long scenes of him swinging and hearing him yell. He's like, oh! It's so prolonged. It was absolutely hilarious.
I love Liam Neeson's like Darkman voice too.
Yeah.
He did like it's just like a deeper tone, I guess it was. Like that was the only difference.
The 2 other bad CG ones I'd show is one, you guys probably don't remember this, but Durant, when he's meeting with like the full-on big bad, like the business guy, they go into his office near the end of this movie, and they're standing they're standing by these windows, and the windows have like these cranes, and like when they walked further away, it looked a bit better, but when they're up close, it looked like we could do better, right? And we can't because technology, but it literally looks like us in our podcast studio with a green like sheet, and we're trying. It looks so
Yeah.
bad. And the other time when you talk about swinging, yes, on the helicopter, and the other time is when, of course, like I get it, you want to go big, but when you have such a low budget, I don't think a finale on the roof construction is the best idea, because there's so many times where he is swinging from like to like Tarzan kick a guy, and it's just green screen. And there's one shot where he's like sitting with these gargoyles, and it's clearly a plastic set with a huge like green screen behind him. Like it just would it rarely like meshed with the rest of the movie. Every
Yeah.
time green screen was happening or CGI, you could feel it. And that's why I gotta give props. The makeup, which I have here, I'll get down. I think it was I think Liam Neeson, I'll find it out. But the makeup when he's Darkman and he takes the thing off, it looks great. All the practical stuff in this movie looked fantastic. But the CGI, not a good thing. Yeah, here's my trivia note on this. Liam Neeson worked 18-hour days in 10-piece makeup, but he liked the challenge and the idea of working behind the mask on camera, as well as exploring possibilities of this character. Neeson had input on the costume he wore as Darkman, especially the cloak. Good for him. The hardest part was speaking with false teeth because he didn't want them to move at all, which was funny because his teeth were literally just like sticking out. He had no more like skull or face, but
Yeah.
18-hour days. So he was sitting in that makeup chair a lot, and I thought they did a great job. And also, I didn't remember if they fully showed his face, and his face was shown quite a bit. So I mad respect for that. And one thing I just want to say too before I forget is when the helicopter scenes, what was really off-putting when he wasn't wearing his Darkman makeup or the mask, whenever he was just Liam Neeson in his Darkman cloak, it looked really off. it did not look cool at all. He just looked like a British detective or something. So
Yeah.
those are some of my notes on the CGI and the Darkman and whatnot. So
Yeah, I was gonna say I agree. Like the practical effects look really good, except for whatever reason, I didn't like the teeth.
yeah, they
Like,
looked fake.
every time he talked, his teeth just like I don't know, it looked really off for me.
I agree.
but,
What did
yeah.
we actually think about? So the Darkman character, obviously he's a John Doe. He breaks out. Good for him that when he breaks out, like the first time, the love interest is right there. He runs up to her. There's no,
I know, yeah.
there's no waiting. It's literally just like there you are, and he can't speak, so he can't say anything
She
to her.
like sneaks up on her, like Jesus. I would have shit my pants if that happened.
Yeah, bandaged hands, messed up face, and yeah, obviously he's really gone, and he's like really outside of his brain and everything like that. So he's going crazy. He's very much like a fan of the opera, kind of like Frankenstein, like monster. And even then, I'll say like Taylor talked about this, and this movie feels like two movies put together. One, it feels like Batman '89, the Keaton ones, but then also the Spider-Man, and it does feel like this is kind of like a trial run for him because the score is similar, but for me, Taylor talked about the score is like dead on the Batman movies. But in this movie, Darkman, he pretty much becomes Doc Ock in Spider-Man 2, where he finds a warehouse, he's working on a machine, and he's like, "This is home. I'm gonna get better," and everything like that. The only difference is he's the good guy in this. But what did you guys think about the transition into Darkman?
I thought it was weird because it was definitely like comical for me, like just seeing like the stuff that like he would just grab his gear from his lab. Like, sorry, let me restart that. When he gets back to his lab and he just quickly says like, "What happened here?" It's like, dude, you literally were there when it happened. Like, I just thought that was hilarious. Manages to get all of his high tech gear that's just still working. Goes to this random factory. Just plugs in like a random power cord, like everything's just got power, like whatever. Hand wave that. He gets his lab like hooked up. So all this time goes where he's setting up his lab and he's actually like working on making these what, like fake skin. I guess that's what he does. He like just makes like different new faces, and he's working away. His hand just like catches on fire, and then all of a sudden he just gets like this mental break. I just thought it was so hilarious. He's like, "They took my hands," and it just seemed like so random to be saying it like at that point. Like, you already know that your face is fucked. Like, you already know all this stuff happened. I just thought it was hilarious that it just like took for his hand to just light on fire for him to just like break in that moment. Oh, I just thought it was hilarious. But the whole transition to Darkman, it was I don't know. It's definitely tied to just like comical humor because just like the funny little, I don't know, happenstances that would be going on, like when he first runs into his love, and it's like literally right after he leaves the hospital. It just everything was happening so fast, and I just felt like he just became this vigilante like so quick. and I don't know. I liked it for sure, just because it was funny for me to be watching, but I don't know. I wasn't taking it too seriously.
Yeah, Taylor, Darkman has transitioned to the vigilante.
Yeah, it's just like I didn't understand all of it, but I definitely enjoyed it when he kind of embraced it. Like even the ending too, he's like Peyton's gone or whatever, and that was kind of like yeah, it makes sense. Like he's not gonna have a normal life.
Was that Ash? Was that Ash from Evil Dead?
Yeah, that was. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Because originally, here my new notes are coming all over the place. Sam Raimi wanted Bruce Campbell to play the lead role, but the producers were uncertain that Campbell could handle the part, so he makes a small cameo. But yeah, that was Ash from Evil Dead. They were, and remember he's on the Spider-Man, so they love working together.
Yeah. Okay, sorry. Taylor.
But yeah, it's just overall, I thought like, wow, the transition is pretty janky, and like I definitely feel bad for him, but I love when he has an emotional breakdown. He's like, I'm a scientist, and it's like, what is going on with you? But it was just I didn't understand how he like had a little shopping cart with a couple computer towers in it, and then he got to his lab and he set up this whole thing, and he was like had mass productions of people's faces and everything. Like he was so well equipped, and it was just blowing my mind. But God, let me just check my notes here. Yeah, I definitely liked how he looked with like the bandages and like the cloak and the hat. I liked it so much that I would even cosplay as it eventually at some point. I think it just looks super cool. But when he finally uses the fake skin to pose as Polly, and he goes in and he gets the case, and then when like Duran like goes and attacks Polly when he's upstairs, like the fake tickets are there and everything, it's just absolutely like such a horrible setup, but it works. And like then when Polly's thrown out the window and crashes and the woman screams, and then the woman turns around and screams seeing the lookalike of Polly. I just don't know, why was he sitting on the bus stop waiting? Like he should have got out of there.
He wanted to see the death of Paulie, I guess, or his work, or he wanted to see what would go down. I don't think he needed to sit right in public at the bus stop. Like he could have went maybe around a corner, and that would have been suffice.
Oh yeah.
But no,
I was also thinking, like, what if? Sorry.
This man's had a mental break. You guys are making fun of him, talking about his hands, and he's a scientist. He's been through a lot of trauma, so he has no way what is left or right.
But he knew his timer was running out. That's what I don't get. Like he looked like he was surprised that his timer ran out, but it's like, no, you got 99 minutes.
It just
you
felt
should have been around the corner.
Like such a poor decision too, because like Durant is literally coming there to find Polly. So if he finds you with the money, like that's even the worst situation. And like he's literally outside his building. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. I felt really.
His methods are questionable. I'll give
decision.
you that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
I guess when I'll touch upon this after, but the scene where Duran like supposedly dies in that helicopter crash, which I'll come to after. When he pops up in the next scene, like this was the point where the movie was so wacky that I just thought that they just did it and didn't even care that the helicopter exploded on the overpass and Duran was just unscathed in the next scene. I was like, I believed it because this was so crazy. And then it took me a second to realize, like, oh no, it's not. It's Darkman. So I was super happy that that's actually the way it is. But I mean, it doesn't matter. He's unscathed in the sequel, I guess. But the other thing too was that photo I sent to the chat of that guy holding that gun.
Oh yeah, he always had that stance.
That was just it cringed me. That stance, like full on squat, holding the gun at waist position. Like you're not getting any kills with that position. But like when he had that like extensive scene like fighting Darkman, and Darkman was like sent off like the goon who was like running and yelling and ran to him, and like he was wearing a mask, and then he pulled the mask off, and then it was Liam Neeson's face mask, then he pulled that mask off, and then it was the real guy underneath.
Oh yeah.
And he's freaking out, and then Darkman walks up wearing the mask of the freaking guy. It stands there and like looks down at the body and looks back and like
he like cackles. Yeah, his face is so ridiculous in that scene. Oh my gosh.
So bad.
I was just gonna mention too, like in that same scene, because he's wearing, like, the guy's wearing two masks.
Yep.
and he
with tape on his mouth.
So he takes the first one off, and then it's just like an actual face, and then he goes to take the other one off, and there's just like the skin like revealing by the neck where he like goes to reveal it, and it just looks so like just so corny, like the way that it just like when he takes the first mask off, it's literally a person's face. You can't see another mask, and then it goes back to him, and he like is obviously wearing a mask. Like it just looks so like the transition is just so funny.
I did appreciate though when he gets shot, they have like the mask. It's like Liam Neeson, and when he opens his mouth, you see like the tape in his mouth. So I did like that nice little touch of like the little whatever. But yeah, you guys were talking about how crazy the scene is. Just when he walked up with the long hairs guy's mask, like just hearing Liam Neeson's voice come out of him, and just the face. And shout out to that actor who was meeting Liam Neeson's craziness, but. Yeah, it was that whole like 10 minutes between that and the helicopter, just the series of unfortunate events that happened was bonkers. That was just, we're going for it. Literally, they didn't care. They're having fun. It was wild.
Oh, it was wild because Durand, like, they decided to arm him with a grenade launcher, and like this thing had like, it was so unrealistic because the tubes were so tiny, and like the scope on this thing was so wild, and he literally like he's just bombing the whole building, and then when it escalates and like he's like on the freeway or whatever, or like they're above the freeway, and Durand is just grenade launching the fucking freeway out
I know.
yin-yang.
Oh, I know. I was gonna say,
So
that was
nuts.
GTA, man. He would have a 5-star. Like there'd be like
Oh,
military on him. Like he's murdering so many people on this highway.
So I got
Yeah,
especially
but
when he
I
shoots
do
down like the
appreciate
police
the-
chopper.
Yeah, he shoots that down. Oh my god. I do appreciate like, you know, when he's trying to like frame Durand and get him like arrested, and he goes into the store and he's like, "My name is Durand," you know.
he practices that
and
one
he
line.
gets him arrested. Yeah, it's just so bonkers. Another thing too, when Durand is talking to the main bad guy and they're looking at the skyscrapers and the cranes, and the main bad guy, oh, where is it? He's like, I got bad news and good news. The good news, your wife died.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
kidding.
I gotta remember that one. Like that was, like I don't. I have no words. I have nothing. I
Yeah.
can't explain that. But yeah, wow.
So random.
It's so random.
Yeah.
Good news.
The main bad guy, I forget his name, but he totally reminded me of like Shooter McGavin, that actor. I know it's not, but it totally reminded me of him.
Yeah, you're not far off. Similar hairstyle and whatnot.
Yeah.
Let me see. I'm trying to think. How do?
Did you guys have a problem with Strack Industries? I thought it was Stark Industries at first.
Maybe that's who he is going for. You know, it was
Yeah, I was thinking about it.
cinematic universe one day. I want
I
to.
found it hilarious when they go up on like the construction building at the end, and like this guy is just like a parkour lord.
Oh,
He like is telling, he's like telling them about like how he used to work like up here, and he's just like not scared of it, and he's just like jumping across like these whatever the hell they're called, the pillars. I just thought it was hilarious of a place to like take, I don't know, just to like do your final duel. I was definitely getting like Spider-Man 3 vibes though, especially since it's Sam Raimi.
Oh yeah. That's what I mean. These were the trial runs to all these movies.
Yeah,
you know, this
totally
was the
trial
practice, and then, but somehow that's the scary thing. Like I get it, and I don't get it, because at some point in the 2000s they had to watch Darkman and they'd be like, yeah, this is the guy that's going to direct Spider-Man. Like, and I'm glad that happened, because he's a talented director, and you can make the case of like, oh, he has a real vision, and he does. But I'm just surprised a studio looked at this and trusted somebody like this with Spider-Man. You know, I bet you the only reason is just because it's like, not the only reason, he has like a career, everything like that, but I bet one of the biggest reasons with studios back then, because they were pretty like black and white, was just like, well, he's directed like a superhero movie before, so he could do Spider-Man. So I have a feeling it could have been that, because I'll have to look and see what else he did, but this is a wild movie, and to put him in charge of Spider-Man was definitely risky. It paid off, but to me it was like on its surface a little risky if you watch this movie. Like, what if Spider-Man would have been this, you know?
Oh man.
I think there only would have been one.
Spider-Man 3, we kind of got that right.
Yeah.
We kind of have some moments
Yeah.
of that, so
Sam Raimi was going crazy. The Darkman in him was coming out.
I'm trying to look.
There's two other things I want to
Yeah.
shout out. So when he's at the circus and he starts like losing it, like he's gonna tell his girl like his secret, and then it cuts to this freak this
show, yeah.
saying like, "Do you want to see the freak show?" And then this weird like focus on this like freak wolfman scene that didn't make any real sense, but I guess it was to show like, oh, he's a freak and he doesn't want to reveal the truth. But it was just so weird.
To me, they made it look like sounds weird and it's dirty, but they made it sound like that was an ex of his and he had like fucked the lizard man, and he was like, oh no, like he's here, like I can't do anything with my love interest. But that's what they were going for, the this is I'm a freak, he's a freak. That guy though was the makeup effects artist. That was a cameo, just so you know. So that was the guy that did the makeup for this movie. But yeah, it was, to me, there was like some weird sexual stuff going on in there. So it was a weird scene.
The other scene that I thought was absolutely hilarious was when Liam Neeson, he caught that one guy, captured him, and I didn't understand it at first because it was like they were underground, I guess, and it was honing in on the manhole cover, and like I'm like, okay, they must be underneath the road below there. And then the next scene, when he gets mad, he sticks the head up there, and it's like transitioning between the dummy and the actor, and the cars are swerving around him, and it's like, oh my god, this is horrible.
Terrible way to go. That's also Ted Raimi, Sam Raimi's brother. Remember we talked about in the Spider-Man commentary track that he's always having his brother like cameo and things. But yeah, that's set up like he gets him in the sewer, and then the guy's just like, I told you everything I know, and he's just like, I know you did. But I get it, he's just gonna kill him anyways. But that, and again, Ted Raimi, he's going ham. He's giving 110% because he is screaming his lungs off. He's acting like no, like he just, please no, and then that car just took him right out, and he was gone. So yeah.
Another one of those like deaths though, similar to like the lab assistant, where you don't actually see it. It's like it is rated R, but like they don't show the actual like gruesome murder.
Yeah, it's surprised. Like that's what I mean. Like it's almost weird. Sometimes it felt like it was a rated R movie that they wanted to chop down to PG-13, but then there's other times where it is really gruesome, and the movie ended up being rated R. So I'm not sure. Maybe it's just a show don't tell, or it's a budgetary thing, right? Of like we don't have enough budget to show this guy get reamed out by this car or any effects. So let's pull that back. We already wasted all on the funeral graveyard CGI. We can't use any more budget. I wanted to talk about
those cranes.
I want to talk.
Watch out for those cranes too.
I want to talk about it because there's not too much, I don't think, but we just haven't talked about her. Frances McDormand's character is the love interest. Like we said already, we don't get to meet much of them because we meet them and then ta-da happens. But what do we feel? She ends up dating like the ultra bad guy for a little bit. What do we feel about her character? And also we talked about the circus scene, but just kind of some of those things.
Yeah, I don't know. I would say she's fairly forgettable. Like nothing too crazy happens with her character. Like the funniest moment for me was definitely at the carnival when he like snaps that guy's fingers, and then it just like shows him and he's screaming, and then it shows to her and she's screaming, and like the lighting effect on it is just like the funniest thing ever. What else? There's another thing that happened with her. I think it's like when she finds out. Fuck yeah! I should have wrote it down. I don't remember what it was. It was something to do with like, yeah. I'm not even gonna try. Should have wrote it down. Write down your notes, kids, so you'll forget it. Yeah. Other than that, she's fairly forgettable.
Yeah, they gave her that before you go. Before you go, Taylor. They gave her that like little arc, which I appreciated because at first when he breaks that guy's finger, which she's warranted to freak out, she did still like chase after him and checked out what was wrong. So. She did really love him, and, you know, she was fighting with him, and she said you should have told her earlier, and then, like, Taylor already alluded at the end when, like, Peyton's no longer here, but, you know, it was like she was with him to the very end, and she was pulling like a Deadpool, you know, she didn't care about the way he looked. Yeah, it was unfortunate, but she loved him, so I appreciated that, and I think the actress, Frances McDormand, she's a great actress. I think she did fine. It's not a bad role or anything. It's just a classic kind of 90s damsel in distress where she is just, like, you know, she's either captured or she's just trying to be with her guy, and I thought it was fine. Nothing like terrible, but it was probably my lowest point of the movie. Again, not bad, but just because it was the least interesting. And they, other than some of the ta-da stuff, there was some few cheesy moments, but that was probably the least cheesiest and out there the movie was. So even though Liam Neeson the first time he's back, like, and I liked it because he's being weird, but man, when he comes back the first time with his face, he's acting just so creepy around her and everything like that. And I get it, he's lost his mind, but it's unnerving to watch, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Well, when they're like at the carnival and he's like about to tell her his secret or whatever, and then he hears like the freak show thing and it changes his mind about like revealing himself, and then he like asks, he just like grabs her, he's like, was there someone else while I was gone? Was there someone else? And then, and then she basically says like, oh, someone was like comforting me, blah blah blah, and then she's like, oh, was that it? And like they're just like, it's like they're like just their like body language and like the way they're talking in that scene is just so strange, and totally like what you said though, like when he first comes back, when he's Liam Neeson, like with the Liam Neeson skin, he's just acting so strange, and I don't know, it was just I definitely enjoyed it, but it was something else.
Yeah.
That comforting scene, like when she said like, oh, it's just comforting me, I took it as like, okay, he was just like a shoulder to cry on. But then later when he's like, yeah, I learned all of her intimate tastes, you know, I comforted her sexually, and it's like, whoa,
But do we...
this is a transition.
Well, one, I do think that, yeah, when she said comfort me, yeah, they were definitely fucking. But we have seen that before with villains, right? They do lie. So do you think he was telling the truth? Do we think they got it on or what?
I think he was getting under his skin. I wouldn't.
Yeah, probably. Get
No
under his skin.
Tadao moment.
Yeah,
I
agree.
I do want to point out like his reveal, like when he pops back in, like that first scene when you see him back, choosing to come back to her and make his appearance at the graveyard was a horrible choice.
100%.
So funny.
I didn't even think about that, but yeah, you're at the graveyard of his grave, and you look like, imagine that. We all have significant others. They pass away. It's been a few months. You're visiting her gravesite, and you look over, and she's standing right there. You're not gonna have a good reaction. You're gonna think you're either crazy or you're seeing a fucking ghost. And I do love that for like. He gives an explanation of like, oh, these doctors and John Doe, and they didn't want me to see you, but it was still so loosey-goosey, which that's the movie. But to me, it was an explanation, but nowhere good enough to just be like, okay, that's fine, we'll just try and go on like normal. But she does for a while until he starts breaking dudes' fingers and running away with elephants and everything like that. And even then, in that scene, the last thing she sees of him is his face just starts to bubble at the carnival, and it's just like, you'd be scared out of your mind if all of a sudden your dead, almost fiance came back. He's very angry and like his face is bubbling. Not a good scenario.
No, definitely.
Let's see. I think I got most of my major. I have some like other notes, and I of course had some other trivia, but I think I got some other notes, but nothing major. I think we touched upon the finale. He ends up being like, you know, he's never going to live a normal life, so he's going to be Darkman full time, and she's really sad about it. So he's like, save the city. But he saved the city, but not because he's trying to be a hero, just because it's for his own selfish needs, which is fine, but it's just kind of like an accidental thing. He gets thrown into this crime ring and everything like that. The other thing I'd say is just there's so many times where he's just like listening to calls, and the dialogue he would have to himself or just laughing at himself. Very disturbing character.
Very disturbing. No,
I'm gonna get him. Like
with his Darkman voice.
Oh yeah, his Darkman voice. But yeah, you guys have anything major to shout out?
I really liked how he like was like changing his voices and stuff. Like when he went to go and see like he had to pose as Durant, and he like went to go see that guy in like Chinatown, and it was just like everyone was like staring at him, was like, what's he gonna do? And then he like said that like great line and sat down and like had a cigar. And then when he came out, and that whole scene where he was like, the other Durant had finally got there, and he was like, kill him, he's the wrong guy, no, he's the wrong guy. Like I love scenes like that. This is just so kooky, and like he totally like wanted, I think he was gonna get out of there, but his face starts to melt, so he like smacks the henchman on the head, and then he runs off, and the henchman goes to the real Durant, is like, I'm sorry, boss. And then Durant smacks him on the head again.
Oh, yeah,
that was like some Three Stooges stuff.
Oh, it really was. Yeah, like the whole who's Durant? I'm Durant.
Yeah.
When they're running
like,
through the thing, get him. No, you get it. Oh boy.
Just going back to like the Chinatown scene I just thought it was so strange because he's doing like the bold play, you know, he like cuts his cigar really small. He's like, you're going to give me my money after this amount of thing. And then all of a sudden he just starts burning his hand and like in whatever way that like intimidates the Chinese guy to be like, okay, you win. Like, I don't want to see you hurt yourself anymore. Like, I just thought that was so strange. And like, if I was in the shoes of the Chinese guy, I'd be like, okay, like fucking burn your hand. How is that affecting me? Like,
yeah,
I don't know. I just thought it was so strange.
100%. Yeah. Yeah, there's some good scenes in there. Taylor, you got anything else?
I don't think so. I mean, the only thing is just that scene again where he's like, he's running with the pink elephant. It was like a prolonged scene again where he runs across like 2 separate catwalks and he's just like, and she's watching him as he runs.
Like with this pink elephant, he's just
With the pink elephant.
It means so much to him. He's not dropping that thing.
Oh yeah, do you guys think? Because I've never seen the sequel. Do you think that pink elephant's somewhere in the sequel, like in the lab or something?
100%.
Yeah,
I hope so. I would be super disappointed if it wasn't, because that's like the touchstone, right? Like that's like because you could always remember. I'm not gonna read much of the. Well, maybe I'll read just the plot line of the sequel just before we end this cast because I'm curious. But I just want to know, is she in the sequel, and if they like recast her as well, or did they use it to be like no to write
From what I'm aware of, because I kind of caved, I went and read them, and it's not. No, the second one has a wild plot. It's actually pretty crazy.
I expect nothing less.
Yeah, I didn't think so too. Just because like they wrote her off in a way, so it's like okay, they don't have to do this again. But what else there?
And like I guess he would have had
the only other. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I guess he would have had to like go and move his whole lab, Because like she knows where his lab is, and like I feel like it would take a while for him to move all that shit that's in there.
Yeah, I'll spoil that. The sequel, like from the plot, he does like he gets a new and improved lab.
Okay, there you go.
But the other thing I thought was like just a little weird was when she finds out the bad guy is like really the bad guy, and because of the coffee stain like paper just conveniently on the desk, and he's like, "Oh, you found the memorandum," and she's like, goes off, and then she says this line like, "Well, if you're not gonna kill me, I got things I have to do," and then she walks off. It's like, "Well, this is so anticlimactic." He gets the door for her and everything.
Yeah, she just got out of there.
This
goes to show you don't know what you'll get if you don't ask.
Yeah, the sequel. Wow, Larry Duke, who plays Durant, gets top billing in the movie. So there you go. That's a big thing. And I'm trying to see. So Taylor, you'd like this, and even Kirklin, you would, because you're a big Brendan Fraser Mummy fan. The guy who plays the Mummy, it plays Darkman in the second and third one.
Oh, nice.
That's pretty good. Yeah, the sequel.
Dude, we definitely gotta watch that one.
Oh yeah, Darkman and Durant return, and they hate each other just as much as the other. This time, Durant has plans to take over the city's drug trade using high-tech weaponry. Darkman must step in and try and stop Durant once and for all. Oh boy! And then the third one is called Darkman Die. Oh boy. Darkman returns from stealing from the bat and using cash to continue his work for synthetic skin. But Dr. Bridget Thorne double-crosses him, implanting a device in his brain, and lets Rooker control him and gain from his research. Who the fuck are all these people? You don't do that in a synopsis. Like, you don't just drop character names. Yeah, one day we'll probably cover those, so thanks, Jeff. I got a few little notes here, I think. I talked about the brother cameo. This happens many times, but especially that top scene where there's the shootout in the warehouse and everything. The harsh zoom-ins on the conversation, like when they go back and forth, they would just get closer and closer actors, and oh man, it was just like zoom in as much as you can. It was some crazy like 90s stuff going on. And talking about this being a trial Spider-Man, they have credits that are like Spider-Man where it's like music's playing over top them and they're showing the names, but they're just these terrible smoke credits where like there's no effects at all, and it's like once again, this is the trial run because the Spider-Man credits we all love, but this was just like, it was just lame to watch. It was just so funny comparing. I talked about the green screen, Liam Neeson flying and the explosion. Yeah, that's and then there's one point near the end where Liam Neeson as Darkman, he's on the helicopter just during the helicopter chase during the CGI. He falls down and the copter's like just flying away and he's the bomb. He crashes into a building and he's like, "Excuse me," and he kicks off. He kicks off and goes back into action. But that's just another case where there's this big, huge action set piece going on, and then they just drop like a one-liner that's supposed to be funny or something like that, and it was wild.
Yeah, there's another one that happened like that. I think he like crashes into a vehicle or something. Like same thing, like when he's below the helicopter, and he says something like that, and I just remember shaking my head, like rolling my eyes, same sort of thing.
Yeah. You guys ready for some trivia?
Yeah.
Always.
Okay, so Bill Paxton, I'm not sure if you guys know who that is, but he's an actor. He's passed away now, unfortunately. But Bill Paxton was also cast as Penrest Lake. According to Paxton, he told his friend Liam Neeson about the audition. When Neeson got the role, Paxton was so angry he did not speak to Neeson for months.
Wow, that's actually
Oh my
shocking.
God.
So he just like, there's this film I'm auditioning for, and Liam Neeson
Yeah.
was like, great, I'll go do that, and he did that.
That's like, there's this girl that I started talking to. You know, we're really hitting it off, all these things, and then this guy's like, oh yeah, goes in there, just swoops her up.
100%.
That's so
and that's
funny.
like kind of he didn't get the role, he wasn't there for it, but it's just a fun trivia. You know, I always like to shout that Robert Englund, he's the guy who plays Freddy. He's the guy that got Mark Hamill the Luke Skywalker job because he talked like, there's auditioning for this thing Star Wars. I think he may have auditioned. I don't even know for Luke, but if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have Mark Hamill's Luke Skywalker. So there you go.
Crazy.
For the role of Darkman, Sam Raimi wanted someone who could play a monster with the soul of a man, someone who could do all the beneath under the makeup. He also liked Liam Neeson's Gary Cooper charisma, different actor. Neeson was drawn in the role. I already talked about that. Neeson contracted the Phoenix Society, an organization that helps accident victims with severe disfigurements adjust to re-entering society. So he did do some research and stuff, so I guess some of that acting out, it's good. The intent was there. Some of the acting out is, but then again, maybe people. I've never been in anyone in that situation, so you might be acting out like pretty crazy and different, right? Like he did go through a very traumatic experience.
Oh, for sure. You'll never look
Yeah,
the same.
absolutely.
Never be
I
the
think it
same
was just the
person.
acting of it was hard for sometimes me to believe that was very traumatic.
I'm a scientist. I'm a scientist. I'm a scientist. I'm a
They
scientist.
took him. Why?
Yeah.
Let's see.
That's like the only GIF on this movie. I swear, I was looking for some good GIFs. I swear that's like the only.
Yeah,
GIF. Maybe one more when he's like actually Darkman.
Yeah, we
but
need some
yeah.
more internet.
And then you get some other. weird
Internet
ones.
start making that. We need to make a comeback. Maybe this will be it. Joel and Ethan Coen, who are known for doing Dylan's favorite, Big Lebowski, No Country for Old Men, which
yeah.
me and Kirklin really like, and a bunch of other
yeah.
great movies. They're close friends of Sam Raimi. They did some uncredited script doctoring on the final script, so they gave some notes and maybe write a page or two. So there you go. So additionally to the 5 writers, there technically is like 7 writers on this, so that's great. This makes a lot of sense. The editing process was extremely difficult. The editor allegedly had a nervous breakdown and left the production. Universal executives...
I'm an editor. I'm an editor. I'm an editor.
Yeah. He's like, I can't edit this movie. It's such a mess, you guys. Universal executives were also rather nervous with some of the wild things in the film. They insisted to be taken out. Sam Raimi confessed that the studio movie making, as opposed to independent filmmaking, didn't fully fulfill him in the same way. However, Raimi did credit Universal's marketing campaign to the Darkman's success at the box office. The box office, this is 90s, like right at 90s. So the box office was, I have it here somewhere. I got the box office for the... There's no box office for the VHS. I can't remember. I will try to find it here very quickly. Give me 1 second. I think the budget was like 19 million or something like that. Here we go. It was 60 million in the budget, and then the box office was 48 million, 0.8, so almost 50 million. So back then, pretty good. So it was a hit. It was not a big enough hit for them to put the sequels back in the theater, but it was a hit nonetheless. Let's see here. Where were we? The production suffered from behind-the-scene troubles. The screenwriting process was grueling. There was a lengthy post-production battles with the studio. Also, Sam Raimi and Frances McDormand, she played the love interest. I can't remember her name right now. Do you guys remember her name?
Jules?
Yeah, Jules.
Something like
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
Yeah.
They clashed with creative differences. She allegedly became very difficult to direct. Raimi said, apparently I didn't know Fran as well as I thought I did, and the reason it was difficult that our conception of the best movie to make differed, and arguing and trying to make the best picture possible. We did come across disagreements, but they are very healthy. McDormand, however, looks back fondly at the film and says she and her husband, who's Joel Coen, are still friends with Raimi. So there you go. They had some troubles doing that. As I said, the script went over 12 drafts overall, so that's quite a bit. Gary Oldman was considered to play Payton/Darkman. I can see it. He's done some like weird different roles. I talked about this. It was Liam Neeson's first starring role, and then finally, which is strange, I wanted to bring this up, so there must be some cut stuff, but just to go back to the ta-da moment, finally, Liam Neeson and Frances McDormand were closely in rehearsals. They even rewrote the 3 love scenes they had together after he becomes Darkman. They got through the scenes, according to McDormand, by depending on each other's knowledge of theater and each other. And I guess love scenes just mean like when they're hanging out, I guess, because they didn't get it on at all while he was Darkman. I don't think he could.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, what's going on down
Yeah,
there?
no, he's missing at least one testicle or something
One.
from
He's
that burn.
pretty lucky. Massive explosion, one testicle. Like, imagine that. Like, he's all burnt up, but like his junk and his package are completely fine. Like, it's just dispatched. But yeah, so I'm not sure if they had anything to do with the ta-da scene, but if they did, good for them, I guess. I don't know. What is your guys' final thoughts on this movie and a rating? And I guess I should ask at the beginning if you recommend it to anybody, but you can drop that now.
Yeah, so I would definitely recommend this to I would almost put it under that like late night comedy like category, because it definitely is fun to just like sit down and watch it with some friends. Like I said, I watched it with my dad, and it was just we definitely had a good time with it. I probably will watch this again, honestly, because I feel like just not a lot of people know about it. So I'll probably, I don't know, one night sit down with a couple buddies and just pull it out.
Gotta
and
get those
I want to
gifts.
see their reactions on stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah, I want to get some new gifts for sure. I would probably, for rating wise, I'm probably gonna give it like a 6. I think which is pretty low, because it definitely is like lacking in quality in my opinion. Like the CGI stuff that we mentioned, there's just a lot of like wild things that are going on that, although like my rating seems like pretty low, I had more fun with it. So I don't know, but it is pretty bad. There are some like really bad moments in this movie, but I don't know. It's a weird thing, because it falls in that category where it's bad, so it's good, but it's still bad. So I can't give it like a high rating.
Yeah, fair enough.
I don't know. I'll definitely watch it again though.
Yeah,
More enjoyable.
I'll
than
go
some of the
next
movies
because
I've
I
seen.
feel like I'm similar to Kirklin. I would give it a 6 on like a movie like rating, but for enjoyment, I would give it an 8. So that's the thing. If you're like, how does this feel as a movie? Then yeah, there's lots of problems. It's like a messy movie. It's crazy, but with my enjoyment, I had a really good time with it. So yeah, I would recommend this to almost anybody. I would say watch with people. I still think it is fun enough that you could enjoy it by yourself, but I think with even just one person, you have a good time. And yeah, it was enjoyable. I think, Jeff, for recommending this. I think I had a good time watching it. I had a good time talking about it with you guys, and it was a wild movie. And it's just one of those movies, kind of like when we did Howard the Duck, where I just go, this is a movie that exists, and that's the best thing about film. It's like a lighthouse where it's like, yeah, this is just out in the ether. So yeah, that's pretty crazy. So yeah, that is my final rating and thoughts on it. Taylor Field.
Yeah, I'd probably give it exactly the same as you. I think on a movie scale, 6, and enjoyment, I go an 8, to be honest, because you have to watch this with somebody else. I don't advise watching it by yourself unless like you can enjoy movies like that, like wacky movies by yourself, and you can have a good laugh and see those things and just enjoy it. So by all means do it, but watch it with someone so you can bounce the jokes off of them and you can just share that experience, because it's such a wacky movie. I didn't expect any of this, and then just like even for that intro scene when the gun leg comes off and the guy's just hopping up and down while his buddy's shooting from the leg, is just like, what is happening? So
like
it's
when they're in the lab like afterwards too, and they're like beating up Liam Neeson, their one guy's just hopping. So like, is that just his go-to weapon, just this guy's leg? Like I
think so.
That's weird. That's so weird. But it's a movie I think everyone needs to watch. I'm surprised I never actually found this movie before and watched it, so I'm glad I definitely did. So I appreciate that that it was nominated for movie watch.
Definitely a good pick.
Yeah, so hopefully next week we have some luck if we watch another movie, and hopefully we enjoy it as much or have a good bad time with it as much. But so next week will pretty much be the same, unless there's some big news drop, or like we said, like something big of VOD drops. We'll be kind of doing this format for a while, where it's sprinkle a little news in there, but then talk about a movie. So so we did all the plugs at the beginning. That's everything as below. Just go down the description, everything's there. So you guys have anything to say before we end this cast?
Nope.
Just stay safe out there.
Yes, exactly. Wash your hands, social distancing.
Yeah, wash your hands. Exactly.
Taylor?
Stay away from other people.
And that's why we're doing this. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning in. When you hear from us next time, it'll not be boring.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Boom. All right. So, yeah.
Gucci, I will stop this.